¿Se oye, no?
Dale.
Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Cristian Dardón. Hoy quiero dar gracias a Dios por darme el privilegio de estar hoy aquí, siendo parte de este cambio histórico.
Excuse me, perdón.
Okay.
Dale, otra vez.
Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Cristian Dardón. Hoy quiero dar gracias a Dios primeramente por darme el privilegio de estar aquí siendo parte de un cambio histórico.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Christian Dardon, and I want to thank God first most for being able to be part of this historic change.
Soy miembro de la organización Vientos del Espíritu por 19 años. Yo llegué a este país en el año 1995 de Quetzaltenango, Guatemala.
I've been a member of Wind of the Spirit Immigrant Resource Center for 19 years. I came here in 1995 from Quetzaltenango, Guatemala.
Desde entonces estamos trabajando por una reforma migratoria, pero desafortunadamente en el año 2000 no lo pudimos lograr.
We have been campaigning and fighting for immigration reform in this country, and unfortunately in the year 2000, in the early 2000s, we were not able to accomplish it.
Pero desde entonces estamos trabajando duro. Hemos estado luchando a la misma vez por las licencias.
And since then, since the early 2000s, we have been campaigning and fighting for the driver's licenses in the state of New Jersey.
Por casi 2 décadas.
For almost 2 decades.
¿Lo logramos? Sí, lo logramos, ¿verdad? Gracias a nuestras organizaciones que han trabajado duro, a nuestros compañeros de New Jersey, como la Alianza, Faith in New Jersey, New Labor, AFSC, ACLU, Make the Road, and 32BJ.
And we did it. Together with our communities, we worked with the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, Faith in New Jersey, New Labor, AFSC, ACLU, Make the Road, New Jersey, 32BJ, and many more partners in New Jersey.
Yo soy la cara visible de esta campaña, pero reconozco que esto no hubiese sido posible sin la labor de tantas personas, personas que dejaron de dormir, personas que salían a hacer demostraciones en el frío, personas que han hecho muchas llamadas, han colectado firmas, han hecho mucho esfuerzo colectivo.
And I recognize today that I am the visible face of this campaign, but this campaign wouldn't have been possible without people losing sleep, without calls being made to legislators, without petitions being collected, without marching in the weather, in the inclement weather.
Hoy quiero agradecer también al gobernador Phil Murphy agradecerle en nombre de miles de personas en el estado por hacer de las licencias parte de su plataforma como líder de este gran estado.
I also want to thank Governor Phil Murphy on behalf of thousands of people. On behalf of thousands of people throughout the state of New Jersey for including this as one of his platform issues.
Le quiero agradecer porque esto va a traer un alivio a la gente trabajadora, a la gente humilde, a la gente que lucha por sobrevivir.
I want to thank him because this is going to bring relief to people who are working class, to people who are humble, and those who struggle to survive.
Gracias, gracias porque va a impactar en la vida de muchas familias, familias en las cuales tenían que decidir si pagar un transporte o dejar de comer.
Thank you, because this is going to impact so many different families, families that had to decide between paying for transportation or eating.
Gracias porque ahora las madres y los padres de familia no tendrán que llevar a sus hijos en el frío a la escuela. Gracias porque van a poder tener la oportunidad de conducir sin miedo.
Thank you, because now mothers and fathers won't have to stay in the cold to take their children to school.
Y por último, quiero agradecerle por abrirle la puerta a la dignidad de cada ser humano en este estado. Con esto le doy la bienvenida al estimado gobernador de este gran estado, Phil Murphy.
And lastly, I want to thank Phil Murphy for opening the door to our communities living a dignified life. And with that, I welcome the Honorable Governor Phil Murphy.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Buenos dias. Please, have a seat here. I think we were reflecting. This is a lucky hall for us. Annette and I were talking about the fact we did minimum wage to $15. We signed it in this hall. Wage theft. The Lieutenant Governor also signed the wage theft law in this hall. And I think today is a good day to make a little bit more history. How's that sound? I think today is a good day to do the right thing for Christian and nearly 500,000 more of our fellow residents. I am so honored to be here with so many people who helped make this signing celebration possible. I want to give a particular shout out to our hosts as we were backstage, Make the Road New Jersey, and thank you for everything. And again, I want to thank Christian Darden for that tremendous introduction and passionate remarks. And Christian, I also thank you on behalf of everyone here and the many, many more across our state who supported our cause for your dedication. God bless you and thank you. We have a cavalcade of special people with us today. This entire room is filled with special people. I'm honored to be up on the stage to be joined by the Chief Administrator of the Motor Vehicle Commission, Sue Fulton. Just don't ask her how the Army-Navy football game went. Banking and Insurance Commissioner Marlene Carita is in the house. In seat 1A in front of me, the Superintendent of the State Police, Colonel Pat Callahan. And all the way at the end, give it up for the Chief of Police from the city of Passaic, Luis Guzman. And of course, I couldn't sign a bill. We couldn't have a bill signing without a bill. So let's give a huge round of applause for the members of the legislature who are with us today, led by Assemblywoman Annette Keano. We're in your town. On the Senate side, to her left, Senator Teresa Ruiz. Senator Nellie Poe. Three to her left, Assemblyman Raj Mukherjee. I also want to give a shout out. He wanted to be here today for Senator Joe Vitale, so let's give Joe a shout out in absentia. We have down front Assemblywoman Pat Egan-Jones is with us. Pat, great to have you. Assemblyman Bill Spearman, Assemblywoman Shanique Spate, Assemblywoman Ileana Pinter-Marin is in the house. Assemblyman Gary Scher is in the house. I I also want to give a shout out in absentia to other legislators who had a lot to do with getting this done. Senator Joe Cryan from right here, Senator Nilsa Cruz Perez, Senator Nia Gill, Assembly members Gordon Johnson, Valerie Veneri Huddle, and Joe Danielson, and the 32 other legislators who signed on as co-sponsors. Let's give it up for them. And by the way, you simply don't get that many people to write their name on a bill unless it's something that's going to make a huge impact on a whole lot of lives, and this does. We've also got faith leaders here with us today. We wouldn't be here without you. All the advocacy groups, Organized Labor, Barry Kushner's Hudson County Central Labor Council, 32! Kevin Brown's in the house. ACLU, so many other organizations. BJ Kowalski chairs the Freeholder Board here in Union County with her colleagues. Let's give it up for the freeholders and other elected officials. 3 years ago, when I was campaigning for this office, I said that if I was elected governor, I would sign a law that allowed every New Jersey resident, regardless of immigration status, the ability to obtain a driver's license. It may have taken us a little longer than we had hoped, but today I am proud to fulfill this promise to you. And let's be clear, we are hardly being revolutionary here. Rather, today is a simple recognition that our immigrant communities and each of you are a vital part of our state and of our economy. It's an acknowledgement that many immigrant residents are already behind the wheel and on our roads, going to work and school, or simply going to the grocery store. And I'm sure some of you even drove here this morning. You haven't been asking for special treatment. You've been asking us to acknowledge reality. 13 of our sister states, from blue states like our neighbors, New York and Delaware, to even one of the reddest, Utah, plus the District of Columbia, have already passed laws similar to the one that I will sign today. The only thing these states have seen is a dramatic increase in the number of licensed and insured drivers and in the number of residents able to contribute to the economy. This is what's going to happen in New Jersey as well. Our roads will be safer, and our ranks of uninsured drivers will be lower, and that's good for all of us. And we're going to protect you and your personal information and that of any other resident who applies for a standard driver's license. Insurance companies won't be allowed to hike your premiums because you don't have a real ID, and employers and landlords and even your government won't be allowed to discriminate against you. What a difference a few years and a governor make. When Assemblywoman Keano first tried to have a hearing on this bill, not even a vote, mind you, just a hearing, former Governor Chris Christie implied that it would open the door for terrorists. I think that tells us all we need to know about where he was coming from. But our administration is different. We honor and welcome our immigrant brothers and sisters in our immigrant communities. We are, after all, a nation of immigrants. We recognize that we are all part of our state today, and we want you to be a part of our state's future. And most importantly, we believe in fairness. Before I close, I want to give another big shout out, and I alluded to this earlier. There are few issues that have seen residents engaged as deeply and for as long as this one. That would not have happened without the tremendous organizing efforts by the broad coalition of organized labor, especially 32 and New Jersey State Director Kevin Brown. I mentioned earlier, amen. Yeah. Also, I mentioned earlier the faith communities and faith leaders and the advocacy organizations who came together as Let's Drive NJ. I also thank all the other groups that worked across the state to push this issue forward. You never let up, and you always showed up. Bless you. And because you did, on this issue, we will no longer say, "Si se puede." Now we will say, "Juntos y hicimos." It is now my honor to introduce one of the leaders of this fight and a legislator who never wavered in her hope that would get to today, Elizabeth's own. Give it up for Assemblywoman Annette Keano.
Good morning. Buenos días. Today marks a historical day in our state. I can't even believe we're here. I can't. I even told the governor when he texted me. You know, it's been many years. As we stand here on the precipice of making New Jersey the 15th state in the nation to expand driving privileges to undocumented immigrants, it's necessary to acknowledge the profound impact that we're going to have and achieve when we can focus on shared prosperity that aligns the needs of all of our communities that reside in New Jersey. 6 years ago, then Assemblyman and now Senator Cryan and I met with Hispanic community activists to discuss their priorities, and this is what we learned. Driver's license was the only priority. They told us how hard it was to get to work, take their children to school, and get to the doctors. Things that we all take for granted. And yet we're here, and I still can't believe it. I will not lie, it wasn't easy. I traveled twice to California to meet with their officials to learn from their experiences. I met with consulates to discuss how they verify their documents. I have spent thousands of hours around many tables discussing with advocates and experts in order to craft a fair and responsible measure that works for New Jersey. Along the way, we learned that other communities faced obstacles in securing their driver's license too. Communities like senior citizens, the homeless, LGBTQIA, and survivors of domestic violence will also benefit from a better and more inclusive access to driver's license. In the face of stiff opposition and at times temporary defeat, we stood steadfast, and today we celebrate. Now I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my fellow Latina legislators who have championed this effort with me. Senator Teresa Ruiz, Senate President Pro Temp, Senator Nelly Poe, Chair of the Latino Caucus, and Senator Nilsa Cruz Perez, the first Latina elected to the state legislature. It shouldn't be... Yes, thank you. It shouldn't be lost on any of us that in New Jersey, the Latinas were the main drivers to this achievement. We passionately advocated for the issue when it wasn't popular, and even though it opened us up to criticism. We gladly took this on because we knew it was the right thing to do. I want to thank those individuals who were right there at the table with me working on this bill and making sure we were doing right by our communities. There were a lot of people, most here in the room, but thousands that didn't come today, that helped make this happen today. But I want to share those individuals that you may not know of. Well, our planning group committee, you know. Sarah, where's Sarah? Make the road. Sarah? Joanna Calle with the Alliance for Immigrant Justice. Joanna? Okay. Now, the ACLU committed to the cause. We had a few different attorneys, but each fierce advocates for this issue. We had Diana that we lost to the governor, but I appreciate you took her. Then we had Farron. Where's Farron? Now, I'm going to tell you something about Farron. We had discussions. We had 15-page memos. We had lots of things. And when I talked to her and asked her questions every which way as attorneys do, she answered them every which way as attorneys do, right? But she stuck to her guns and she made sure that we did the right thing with privacy. And then we had Erica Nava of New Jersey Policy Perspective. Now, she conducted research, and you did papers, and you did estimates, and you told us exactly how much new revenue we could make. But her reports didn't say what would happen in each of our communities, because you can't calculate it, as a leveraging. So you spend money in your community, it stays in your community. You increase our economic viability with each purchase. Everyone buying a car, hopefully buying a car, used car, new car, but also getting the services and making sure that that money stays in the state of New Jersey. Well, okay, and so let's be honest, SEIU 32BJ. Now, 32BJ and I have such a great relationship that it seems that my office is a pipeline. So, we had Julie Diaz, then we had Emmy Quispe, both great advocates that made sure that the work got done, Kevin, for you and for all of us. Thank you. And then we had Brian Lozano of the Wind of the Spirit. He never wavered, nor did the organization that he represented. And there was others, because I'm looking at her right now, from the Wind of the Spirit that started at the table, Diana. So over the years, some of the representatives changed, but our work never did. And their organizations were always there for us. Then there's our others who I call the unsung heroes, like Rosa Farias, former staffer of the Senate Majority Office, and now at CRDA. She worked tirelessly on this bill before she left. My former chief of staffers, Shane Darris and Julie Diaz, worked, and let's talk about the ones that brought this home in the last few weeks. My current chief of staff, Seth Levine, our general counsel for the Assembly Majority Office, Brian Quigley, Governor's Office, Justin Braz, and for those that don't know, he used to be my former chief of staff too. You got great team, great team. Justin Dews, I don't know, where is he? Governor's Council Office. Now, I called him every day of the week, day, morning, weekends, always pleasant, always professional, and he got the job done. I just want you to know that, Governor. Thank you. So I thank him. With Dan Harris with the Speaker Coughlin's office, Wade Homer with the Senate Majority Office, and Cherie Henderson with the Office of Legislative Services. Those are the people that you never see, but they work day and night. And I can't say enough good things about the leadership of Chief Fulton and her staff. They were helpful. How many times you have a commissioner level individual that explains things? Because let me tell you, people think it was so easy. Just give driver's license to another group of individuals, but it isn't. It's such a complicated process, and Chief Fulton and her leadership team was there every time we needed her and provided such great information. Special thanks to Senator Vitale for being such a great Senate partner, and his staffer, Stephanie Albanese, for all her work. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Speaker Craig Coughlin and Governor Murphy for their steadfast commitment to passing and signing this bill. We would not be here without them. Si se pudo. Si se pudo. I also would be remiss if I didn't tell you that we had 33 assembly members on our bill. They signed, but I also want to, we miss, Assemblyman Scher was a prime sponsor, and thank you for all your work, Assemblyman. We also had, as a prime sponsor, we also have Valerie Veneri Huddle and Assemblyman Danielson. Everyone together helped make this happen, and I can tell you, like I told the governor, I can't believe we're here. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Annette. Thank you for your leadership. We've got some other folks to hear from. Please help me welcome. It takes a village. You need both chambers. I want to echo Annette's thanks for Speaker Craig Coughlin, and on the Senate side, Senate President Steve Sweeney. Please help me welcome Senator Teresa Ruiz.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos días a todos. When you speak truth to power, our communities grow. And the truth is that the state of New Jersey is not a homogeneous state. It is a diverse, vibrant, growing place with people who look entirely different, speaking different languages, but every single one of them loving the Garden State and calling it their home. When you speak truth to power, you write policy that engages every community and creates equity and fairness and inclusion and ultimately safety for mothers who want to raise their daughters in a better world. When you speak truth to power, you make sure that on a day like today, that it is bitter, freezing cold, we don't have to see mothers and fathers with baby strollers in blankets and racing to get their children to school to then only get on a bus or 5 buses to get to work. See, because that person wants the exact same thing that every human being in this room wants: a better quality of life, an opportunity to take a risk, a better chance to tell their daughter when she goes to bed that tomorrow is going to be a better place because I worked so hard for you. This is not a new concept. This is the American concept. When people came to this country, they fled because they knew that the red, white, and blue would offer them a promise of hope, a promise of fairness, a promise of equity, and at least an opportunity to try. But that's been stripped away. It's stripped away with rhetoric, it's stripped away with hate, and it's stripped away when we don't love each other. Just days ago, I get a text from a random person that doesn't even sign their name to it that says, "Good job, passing a bill. What else is next?" And I knew exactly what they meant. And I responded, "You know what's next? When we give every person the power to succeed, then I can stop the work that I'm doing." When you still sit across colleagues who get up and use their opportunity on the floor instead of expressing and basing their opposition in a fact or a purpose, and saying that we are opening avenues for criminal activity, we have to stand up and say, no more. You know, hay el refrán siempre en español que dice, quítate tú para ponerme yo. Eso no es lo que nosotros estamos haciendo hoy. Estamos apoyando nuestras comunidades. Cuando yo te ayudo a ti, ustedes me ayudan a mí. Eso es un ideal que los hemos olvidado aquí, en nuestras ciudades, en nuestras comunidades, en nuestra nación. I said it yesterday at another press conference. This isn't about you and then me, or what I take away from you and what I gain. This is about the fundamental purpose that my father taught me when he moved to this country. And for him it was different because he was Puerto Riqueño, so he moved place, he didn't understand the language, and he had his form of racism and prejudice and his struggles, but he had the fundamental rights as an American. But he always reminded me the one thing, even when he gave money to someone who he thought, where I knew was not going to necessarily use it for the right purpose, or raise funds for someone who had just had a fire, it was always based on the fundamental core that if you empower your neighbor, you have the greatest treasure to gain. Because when you stop functioning, that person will take care of you. That is a common sense core principle of this country. And I am just so very proud that even though it is not happening in Washington, D.C., that in the state of New Jersey, under the leadership of Governor Phil Murphy, it is happening. And so I say that because we also need to understand the process of what this is. Senate President made a commitment to this 2 years ago when people thought that we couldn't get it done. And then it stalled. But every time he had a chance to commit himself and recommit himself and give senators the opportunity to fight for this, he did so in a collective and in a partnership. It takes 21 votes and 41 to get a bill on the governor's desk. And that's not done without sweat equity, that's not done without passion, that's not done without courage, and that's not done without purpose. It wasn't an easy ride. Our offices were swamped with phone calls. We were blamed for inaction, but every time we just shrugged it off and said, we're going to do this because I want to protect the mother who drops off her daughter at the same time that I take my daughter to school. But you know what the difference is? I take my daughter out of a warm car and she's freezing off the street. That is what was driving us. But there was one person who actually wrote almost every single word in the bill. And let me tell you, I hope we keep texting each other the way we were texting each other. And that goes for Sarah, because if you don't text me after this, do we have the votes? What's going on? What can we do? Do we have the votes? I mean, the power of the women behind this movement, but the policy brain with Annette Quijano and her passion, I have to tell you, Queen, I give it up to you. And I know I've been long at the mic, but this has been long coming. When I first got elected into office, I sat in a caucus and I tried to pass rights for in-state tuition. And amongst my colleagues, I couldn't even count to 5. And it's been over a decade, and finally our mentality is changing. We're recognizing that if we improve our cities and improve our people and make investments in human capital, that the Garden State becomes an anchor of fulfillment and promise. Not because we do things opposite for, not because we do things popular for, but we do things because they're based in common sense principle core values. Con ustedes siempre, con pasión, con amor, con la verdad. Porque si tenemos conversaciones honestas con nosotros, se puede ser una agenda que sigue moviendo nuestras comunidades adelante. Sí se puede, sí se pudo, y con amor y dedicación siempre se puede lograr una meta. Thank you for everyone who poured their sweat and love to Union, to Wind of Spirit, to Make the Road, to ACLU, to 32BJ. I mean, I can't tell you, thank you for being a partner to the Latino Action Network, who always had our back. Thank you for being part of this progress.
Yeah. Boy, there's a lot we could talk about, but we're on the clock, so we'll keep going. I also want to add the teachers are with us today, and NJEA is in the house, so thank you for being with us, as always. Senator Ruiz has an extraordinary colleague working alongside of her in the Senate. Please help me welcome Senator Nellie Poe.
Thank you. Muy buenos días. Bueno, todavía es día. Muy buenos días. First and foremost, I don't know how I'm going to follow that. My colleagues are amazing. Let me just say that I have an amazing, a special appreciation for both Assemblywoman Annette Quijano, who has been, and it was so very well and so eloquently spoken just before me by Senator Teresa Ruiz. Her passion and the love that she has for all of what was going on in these last couple of years. But I know for many of us it's been decades. Let me just say, so much has already been said. But I want to bring us back to the days when we were being asked to come forward and show our support and start speaking about the importance of having a driver's license for our undocumented citizens. Let me just say, I remember the first rally that actually took place back in the city of Passaic, I believe it was. And I I remember how that march and that rally, those discussions were in the rain, actually. So there was nothing that was going to take away. Nothing was going to take away the struggle, the enthusiasm, the commitment, and the dedication of making sure that we were able to get everyone on the same page and letting them understand that justice needed to be done for everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the governor, you've heard Assemblywoman Quijano, you've heard Senator Ruiz. I want to personally thank all of the advocates for coming out, for speaking to us, for lobbying, for marching, for your protests, for your emails, all your facts, all of your struggles. We've seen your tears. We've been there. We were there with you. We know that today is a historic day, and we are here today to witness that. I am so honored and so grateful to be here today to join Governor Phil Murphy. Thank you, Governor, for your commitment. Thank you. Thank you, Governor, for keeping your promise. Thank you for making sure that you never wavered from this from the very beginning. I want to thank the leadership because as Senator Ruiz said, without the Senate President, without the Speaker of the House, without all of our colleagues that had the brave position of taking on that 21 votes in the Senate and making those 44 votes in the Assembly, the 42 votes in the Assembly, that's really what made the difference here. Señoras y señores, primeramente le quiero dar las gracias por tener esta oportunidad de participar en un día tan histórico como hoy. Este día para mí es muy importante, es ser la lucha, la fuerza que se tomó para asegurar de que todos nosotros como grupo, como personas, estuvimos ahí juntos, luchando, peleando, llorando juntos. Le quiero dar las gracias a cada uno de ustedes por haber asegurar de que este día se vaya a llegar a cabo. Y hoy se ha dado el día del momento, el día que hemos esperado de tanto tiempo, después de tanto tiempo. Gracias a Dios, gracias a cada uno de ustedes. Que Dios me lo bendiga.
Okay, we're good. We're almost there. A couple of other really important folks who want to come up and say a few words. Please help me welcome the Chief Administrator of the Motor Vehicles Commission, Sue Fulton.
Yep. In the fall of 2016, I was given an opportunity to attend the NBC Commander-in-Chief Forum on the USS Intrepid, in which both presidential candidates answered questions from the veteran community. I submitted one and only one question, and to my surprise, I was given the opportunity to ask it. So I was introduced as a West Point grad and Army veteran, and I stood up and asked my question. Mr. Trump, I said, do you believe that an undocumented person who serves in the U.S. Armed Forces deserves to stay in this country legally? His answer was lengthy, and I won't bother you with it, but unlike the candidate, I was already very aware that thousands of people who are considered undocumented have served this country in the U.S. Armed Forces. We are all aware of the many contributions and sacrifices made by American immigrants regardless of their status. At the Motor Vehicle Commission, we strive every day to serve the people of New Jersey to the best of our ability, all the people of New Jersey. We treat every individual as a customer worthy of dignity and our respect. And as I've said about driver safety, our roads are safer when all our drivers are trained, tested, licensed, and insured. This law opens the door to hundreds of thousands of immigrants on our roads to go through that process. Those who pass our driver testing and meet our strict identity requirements will be able to drive to work, school, doctor's appointments, and other activities without risking the breakup of their families. I've heard people talk about this bill using the term undocumented New Jerseyans. But that's a misnomer. Hundreds of thousands of New Jersey residents do not have proof of lawful presence, but have many legitimate documents, passports, visas, birth certificates. That's why we at the Motor Vehicle Commission refer to this as licensing without regard to immigration status. I know there are people who believe that those without lawful status don't deserve licenses. They don't care that a driver's license is nothing more nor less than a state permit to validate drivers as safe to operate a vehicle on our roads. They don't care that most of these immigrants are working, raising families, and paying taxes. They don't care that they are an integral part of New Jersey's economy. They don't care about the facts. But I refuse to dwell on that. I will focus on my neighbors who are quietly working hard for a better life for their children. My friends who served in the armed forces with a hope that they would earn citizenship. The dreamers whose hopes have been raised and dashed so many times. I will focus on how we can help preserve the promise of America for them. Mi mente está con mis vecinos que diariamente trabajan fuertemente en silencio, con el propósito de proveer una mejor vida a sus hijos. Mis camaradas que sirvieron en las Fuerzas Armadas con la esperanza de ganarse la ciudadanía americana, en esos soñadores, los dreamers, cuyas esperanzas han sido elevadas y arruinadas ya tantas veces. Yo estoy trabajando y continuaré trabajando para ayudar a preservar la promesa del sueño americano para ellos. Del sueño americano para ellos y para todos. Esta nueva ley ayuda a que nuestras carreteras sean más seguras. Y a la vez, esta ley elimina los obstáculos absurdos para aquellos que solo están tratando de trabajar, asistir a la iglesia, criar a sus hijos y vivir sus vidas. This bill makes our roads safer, and this bill removes an unreasonable obstacle. This bill removes an unreasonable obstacle for those who are just trying to work, pray, raise their kids, and live their lives. Sí se puede.
Okay. Yeah. As the person most qualified to make this judgment, Sue, your Spanish is outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the Commissioner of the Department of Bank Insurance, Marlene Caride.
Buenos días a todo el mundo. Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Aquí estamos para celebrar. Buenos días. Unfortunately, I can't follow Sue. She did a phenomenal job both in English and in Spanish. So we're all here for one purpose, and that is to make sure that this bill gets signed into law. So I'm going to be very brief. I want to thank the governor for having me here, my former colleagues from the legislature. And, you know, we are here for one reason, and that is to congratulate all of you, all of the advocates, all of the individuals here in New Jersey, our immigrant population, because this victory, esta victoria, es de ustedes. So vamos a celebrarlo. Ustedes dijeron que se podía, y sí se pudo. La victoria es de ustedes. Hoy día mandamos un mensaje. Today we sent a message, and that message is very clear. In New Jersey, discrimination is not tolerated. Let's not forget that everyone that will be applying for a driver's license is part of our community. It is our family, as Sue said, mi familia, friends, neighbors, co-workers. This is a victory not just for you, but for every single resident in the state of New Jersey. Congratulations. Lastly, as the Commissioner of Banking and Insurance, it is my job to regulate the insurance industry, and it will be my job to work very closely with the insurance carriers to ensure that they understand their responsibilities, and in understanding their responsibilities, that they do not use the standard license as a way of rating when you apply for your insurance. We're talking safer roads by having people with driver's license without the fear of driving and being stopped and arrested for not having a driver's license. Tomorrow you can drive without that fear, and ensuring that everyone has insurance so that we are all safe, you as well as I. So what I would like to say to all of you is felicidades, la victoria de ustedes. It's been a long time coming. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Hey. We're almost there. So representing back to the Assembly alongside Annette and representing their colleagues in the first couple of rows, an all-star cast from the Assembly, please help me welcome a leader in this fight and so many, Assemblyman Raj Mukherjee.
Thank you, Governor. Good morning. I, too, will be brief. I know today we celebrate, but I am embarrassed that 13 other states got to this before us. 13 is an unlucky number, and so from driver's licenses to universal representation for detainees to the census citizenship question and taking on the Trump administration both in rhetoric and in court, Governor Murphy, thank you for making us the 14th state. My district is home to Union City. My district is home to Union City and Jersey City, and Ellis Island is in our state's waters and in Jersey City's waters. So it's fitting that we have a governor like you who has championed immigrants and our beautiful diversity every step of the way. I want to, in addition to the first and second prime sponsors in the legislatures who are so talented and detail-oriented, who you've heard from, I do want to single out among the other legislative sponsors another primary sponsor who originally had the bill in the Assembly, the prior version, and started this fight, my friend and colleague from Passaic, Assemblyman Gary Scher. And as Christmas and Hanukkah are upon us, I am reminded that both the Old and the New Testaments are full of compelling stories of refugees being forced to flee their native lands because of oppression. And God counseled us then, treat the aliens residing with you just as the natives born among you, for you too were once aliens in the land of Egypt. And so on this day, this is a step that the governor is taking for public safety for all New Jerseyans, for the economic contributions of our immigrant communities, for the fiscal impact, but above all for human rights and for affording this basic dignity to our friends.
Buenos días, queridos amigos. Lo siento, hablo un poquito español. Yo soy indio, yo soy hindú, pero mi corazón es hispano. When all of you as advocates, when we gave all of you as advocates reason to doubt this day would ever come, when there were delays, you did not relent. You were persistent for fighting for this basic dignity. You didn't give up. And we owe this day to you por todo su esfuerzo, trabajo y dedicación del fondo de mi corazón. Gracias. Ustedes lo hicieron si se pudo. Gracias.
So, last but not least, and it's quite important for me, not just symbolically, but substantively, that law enforcement is with us today. Not only the superintendent of the state police, my colleague and dear friend Pat Callahan is with us, as well as our next speaker. And I wrap this back to Raj, to your comments, your incredibly compelling comments, and as well to Jersey City. We had an awful tragedy in Jersey City last week. A brave and decorated police detective was murdered. 2 members of the Jewish community, a mom of 3, a young rising star who was visiting over from Brooklyn, were murdered. And quite poignantly, an Ecuadorian immigrant named Douglas Miguel Rodriguez was murdered last week. Please keep all of them, their memories, their families in your prayers. And please help me welcome the chief of the police in Passaic, Chief Luis Guzman.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to speak in English to begin, and I'll finish in Spanish. I've learned early on in my career that you don't really speak much prior to lunchtime, so I'm going to be very, very brief. I wanted to acknowledge and thank some people that are here today. Assemblyman Gary Scher, thank you so much, sir. And I also want to acknowledge my mayor, Mayor Hector C. Laura. To go back a little time ago, probably last year, I was contacted by my mayor. Would I be willing to do a little information session, commercial, whatever you might want to call it? That was last year, and it was around September. I said, "Where's my commercial? I thought I was promised I was going to do a commercial for Let's Drive New Jersey." And then Sarah came. All of a sudden, one day, said, "Come down. We're here." What? Okay. So here we are. Being serious about something right now, you can never do nothing in life, I've learned, without teamwork, without your family. And I see we have a wonderful team in the state of New Jersey, the governor, the assembly, the Senate. I've learned that early on, that you must work as a team to accomplish many, many goals. For those that don't really know me, I am an immigrant. I'm from the Dominican Republic. I came here at the age of 4. I came here in 1969, so don't start doing the math, but you can figure it out. I've always felt a compelling need to look out for the immigrants. Besides, my mother would probably kill me. It's very, very important that we look out for each other. The police cannot be effective if we don't have the help of the community. In Passaic, we're how can I say, we really, really care very, very much about our community. It's very, very important to us. So if I can move on a little, talking from a law enforcement perspective, this is certainly going to make New Jersey safe. Absolutely is going to make New Jersey safe. For our drivers, for our police officers, for our pedestrians, for our children that are waiting for their mom, their father to pick them up at school, to take them to a play or what have you. It's going to make everybody safe in New Jersey. And now to finish, whenever I speak to people, I always look out and try to focus on the children. Because when I see little kids in the crowd, I think of myself when I came to this country and the sacrifices my parents made to give us an opportunity. And all we want really is an opportunity, folks. We want an opportunity to live in a safe environment, to drive, and many, many other things that I won't get into now. So if I could speak a little bit in Spanish. Gracias por esta gran invitación. Yo me llamo Luis Guzmán, soy jefe de la ciudad, jefe de la policía de la ciudad de Passaic. Como dije un poquito en inglés, esta ley nueva de los inmigrantes o los indocumentados, poder tener una licencia es algo grande. El coronel de State Police le puede dejar saber también que cuando uno para a alguien y le pregunte por su licencia, su seguro, su registración, y no lo tienen, es un proceso. A nosotros también, cuando estamos parando a alguien, es peligroso para nosotros. Ahora vamos a ver a quién estamos parando. Es muy importante, ¿ok? Y vamos a tener seguro y vamos a poder hacer lo que tenemos que hacer. So déjame terminar dándole las gracias a todo el mundo que está aquí. Gracias. Quería decir 32. Okay. So yeah. Está bien. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you, Governor, Assemblyman, Chair. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Great job.
So I will say this to our immigrant brothers and sisters, both near and far. In the face of the divisive and offensive climate that's perpetrated by the administration in Washington, I say very simply, come to New Jersey. We stand with you, brothers and sisters, and we will never waver. We will always have your back. Que Dios te bendiga. Let's sign this bill. This is Assembly Bill 4743. It creates two categories of driver's licenses and identification cards. It allows residents unable to prove lawful presence in the United States to receive permits and standard driver's licenses or identification cards, and it permits the Motor Vehicles Commission to increase certain fees. First, the money shot.
Jumped up on the stage just so I could get out there with
Here we go. Christian Darden. All right, Christian. Congratulations. Assemblywoman Annette Quijano. Senator Teresa Ruiz.
Excuse me, can you move, please? Thank you. We want to see it. And the rest
Senator Nellie Poe. Assemblyman Raj Mukherjee. Assemblyman Gary Scher. City of Passaic Police Chief Luis Guzman. Okay, and that you're going to help me out. Byron Augustin, who's the administrator of. All right, Byron, where are you, buddy? Farron Anello, Senior Staff Attorney, ACLU.
Farron.
Where's my friend Frank? Frank Argot Fryer, former president of Latino Action Network Foundation. Frank, congratulations, buddy. Johanna Kale, Director of New Jersey Alliance. Okay. Erica Nava, Policy Analyst, New Jersey Policy Perspective. Whoa, easy now. Sue Fulton, Chair and Chief Administrator of the Motor Vehicle. Sarah Cullinane, Make the Road. And last but not least, Kevin Brown, State Director, 32. This is the law of the land.
Okay, send me. I get that makes